everybody, Quilling Gildos. I can't quite believe that this first demonstration that I'm doing for the Guild blog is actually about a technique which is not really quilling. However, it's a very useful technique. It's one that quillers use a lot, you know, I use this, make spills all the time for various things. The thing is that we normally use a square of paper to make a spill, and quilling is usually about strips of paper, so this is what makes it a little bit not quite quilling. But you know, there's a lot of rolling goes on, and it's a good idea to use paper for whatever it is you're quilling than, say, using a stick or a piece of wood or something like that. If you can make what you need out of paper, then do so. It's a much better idea. So the way I make spills is to take my square of paper and roll it diagonally across. And by the way, you can use all different kinds of paper, but lightweight paper is good because it makes a finer spill. I've used 80-gram paper, 60-gram paper, 40-gram tissue paper. We've even used cigarette papers, which by the way can come in different colours and are already glued, and that's quite a lot better than putting tobacco inside them. So as you see, what I'm doing is I'm starting off this the corner, and I do this with my fingers because I quill just with my fingers. You could probably maybe start it off with a tool if you're a tool user, but you know, why not just do it with your fingers? And I'm rubbing it between finger and thumb to start it off, and then you see that I'm also keeping my fingers moist because that helps as I roll, and I'm trying to keep this level so that I reach these two corners at the same time. Nice and tight, and I'm watching to make sure it's about reaching the same time, and keep going. It gets a lot easier after halfway, and then we have just the little triangle to glue down. Get that glue out of my stay liquid pot, down on the little triangle, and roll it up. This damp cloth is also good for getting rid of glue that's oozed out from wherever you put it. And there's your spill. And obviously it's nice and strong. You can use it for all sorts of things where you need strength. And the best bit of it, the strongest bit, is in the centre here. So if I wanted a shorter spill, I would normally not cut it down from one end. I'll cut it down from a little bit off both ends. That not only cuts it down to the length that I want, but also it makes sure that this bit that's left is nice and strong. And the ends that I've got rid of were a bit more whoppy, so we've got a good strong stick of a spill here. Flower stalks are nearly always spills. They're lovely and strong, and obviously they were made with bigger squares, because the bigger you want your spill to be, the bigger square you use, obviously. So flowers, and here I've used it for this lamp post, not only the upright but also the bar across, which was made of a smaller square. So this is the kind of thing you end up with, and there may be occasions when you want to adjust it slightly, because the middle will always be a little bit fatter than the ends, just because there was more paper there. So if you want to make your spill more uniform all along its length, what you can do is to adjust your square a little bit. So what I would normally do is I would make a little mark somewhere along this here, about halfway between the centre and the point, something like that, and then cut from here to there and here to there. So I cut off around that much, and then roll in the same way as before, damp fingers. Also from the original point, and trying again to make absolutely sure that I reach these 2 points at the same time. You don't want it going off at a funny angle. And now when we get to this point, there is well, it's a different shaped triangle to put your glue on, and there's no point in just putting glue on this tip here. In order for it to stay down, you really have to put glue all along here to make sure the whole thing stays down. I think I've put a bit too much glue on there again. Finish rolling. Make sure it all gets glued down properly. Oh, typical. It's the kind of thing that always happens in a demonstration. Wait for the glue to dry. There we are. So now this spill and this spill were the same square, except that one, this one here has been glued down, so you can cut down, I should say. So you can see it's narrower in its middle and it's more uniform along its full length. Again, I would cut its woppy bits off. You can still do that off either end. So you've still got the same thing, but you will get a slenderer, more uniform spill that way. Just want to show you some variations so that you can use them for different things. This one, for example, if you want to make a pretty spill, what you can do is to stick a quilling strip along one side of his square. Glue coming out too much, and then I'll do an adjacent one to it, so not opposite ones, adjacent ones. This one goes here, like so. Oops. And then cut off the extra bits. It's a lot easier to make them extra long and then cut the strips down than it is to try and make them exactly the right length before you start. So make them long and then cut them down. And then in the same way, we're going to be rolling up across the corner. I'm starting from the end that has from the corner that has no strip touching it, and heading towards those. So go like this, turn it round for you, and you can see what I'm doing. Roll along, my damp fingers again. There we are. And you can see as we go, what's happening now is you're getting this lovely sort of helter-skelter effect going down the spill. So in the same way, you put glue here. Let's hope it's not going to spring open again like the other one did. Right, let's go down. And I'm going to cut across this middle point like so. That will give me 2 nice candles with a spiral going up them, which is quite sort of decorative. So if I were doing, if you wanted to do a birthday card or a Christmas card that had a cake on it, this is for a 4-year-old obviously, and you can make your right number of candles with a nice spiral on, and it just looks prettier. And then another use is you could do this one, which is take another square and fold it, keep it folded like so. And now I'm going to fringe. This is like, you know, when you're making fringe flowers, you would normally fringe like so. The bigger the square, the deeper the fringe. I don't know how I work that out. I'm not doing this fringing very carefully, folks, because I don't want you to be thinking, oh, I'm bored. So I'm hurrying up a little bit here. When I get to this slope, I begin to make my fringes shorter, come down so, and then I cut the final little bit off like that, and then again open it up, and then again we're going to roll from the corner that has nothing on it. So roll, get my fingers damp again. There we are. Try and reach the corners as before at about the same time, so you know you're going straight. And what happens is you get this really nice sort of spiky, fringy thing, which is really funny. I expect that to happen. And then glue down your final triangle as before. To be honest with you, I do feel that this technique is more fun to do than it is useful. Can't think of many uses for it. You could make a tree, for example, Christmas, and you could put do them in different lengths and different colours, and I guess you could make a Christmas tree out of it. But if you think of any more uses for that rather intriguing thing, let me know. I'll be interested. And then finally, this is something that I use all the time, is if I want to make if I want to put a little quilling behind glass, we quillers have a problem in a way, in that if we do want to put things behind glass, we normally don't have the range of frames which other people would have, because we need a space between the background and the glass. So you can convert a normal frame like this one into a deep frame, a box frame, quite easily using spills. This is a normal frame that I've just bought, and you can get, there's a huge range, of course, of sizes and shapes and everything if you just want normal frames, so that's not a problem. There's the frame, and then of course you would get the glass in the same way, and I've taken the background off, and there's normally some card or something that comes with it. And then what I would then do is to make spills, which will go onto this into this frame to give it depth. You have to use the same sized square for each of your 4 spills. You can't say I'll make 2 small ones and 2 big ones, because then there would be a different thickness. You have to use the same size square and then cut it down. Obviously cut more off these ones than you cut off those, but you must use the same size square for all 4. And then cut them to the length that they need to be, and put them in. Now I used the same technique as I showed you, where I've cut down the square for these to make them more uniform, and I've mitered these corners, but there really isn't no need to do that. It's not like me to do stuff I don't need to do. They could just be cut straight. That's what I recommend you do. And then you put your 4 spills in position, and then you can put your quilling. That would have your quilling on in position, and the background on. Get that in the right place. Background on, and now of course it's not so close to the glass. So and what you've got nicely is the same coloured spill holding off the frame from the glass, from the background I should say, and it looks neater. You know, people sometimes tell me that they use balsa wood or something similar. Well, you can do, but you know, this is neater. If it's the same colour as your background, if you should look at it from an angle and see spill, it's actually the same colour, which is nicer. And if you can do it with paper, do it with paper. Obviously, finally, what you need to do is fix this in place, and you can't use these little clips. So what I normally do is to use masking tape or parcel tape or even wide sellotape to glue that down, and my quilling is protected if I should want to do it like that. So that's spills for you. I hope you've got something from watching the demonstration. Have fun!